Today I learned best of the week number 4. Queen Elizabeth once went for a walk near her Balmoral estate with one of her protection officers and met some American tourists who didn't recognize her. They asked her if she'd ever met the Queen and she said no, then pointed to her officer and said he has. They didn't connect the dots. Full article to escape the FU adblock wall. Even Queen Elizabeth II can occasionally walk among the public and avoid detection, at least according to an account from her former protection officer Richard Griffin. Mr. Griffin recalled a time when the monarch was approached by a group of American tourists while on a walk near the Balmoral estate in Aberdeenshire at a recent talk, according to the Times. The group asked the Queen, who was wearing a headscarf and tweed coat, if she lived in the area, to which she responded simply by saying she had a house close by. "Have you ever met the Queen?" they asked. "No," she apparently replied, before pointing at the policeman and adding, "but he has." The group were still none the wiser and left without realizing whose company they had just shared. Balmoral Castle and the estate was purchased by Queen Victoria and passed down to members of the royal family. The grounds are open to the public from May to July each year. So the story was told by the officer. I was having a hard time picturing the Queen sharing this story with the public. I hope those Americans read this article and have the belated realization that it was them. Smile. A white elephant gift exchange gets its name from the legend of the King of Siam gifting rare albino elephants to those who displeased him in hopes that the upkeep costs would financially ruin them. My father always told me if you truly hated someone you should buy them a horse for the same reason. The former Bloods and Crips gang leaders made peace with each other and started an organization to promote peace in their communities. They're now training former gang members and community leaders to help younger generations. All started with a lock-in at the local rec center. A teen that was prosecuted as an adult for having naked images of himself on phone. The court claimed he exploited himself and therefore must be punished so that the other party, himself, is satisfied. Cases like this commonly have the individual charged as an adult, meaning they are a child and an adult at the same time from a legal perspective. Tries him as an adult, and displays his victim himself as a minor. You sick bastard. How could you treat a child this way? It is unknown what Neil Armstrong took with him to the moon personally, and the record of his personal property kit was never found. Armstrong made an unscripted visit to a crater and it is speculated he left his late daughter's bracelet there. This is both incredibly sad and heartwarming. Imagine losing your daughter. Now imagine seeing her every time you look at the moon. If you haven't seen it, First Man is highly recommended. That film starts strong. I feel like he's going where no one has gone before, then, once weightless, grabs his pen so nonchalantly that you realize it's not his first rodeo. Also, I think Gosling was amazing. Playing stoic characters such as Armstrong is a big challenge. Bill Gates succeeded in his mission to build a toilet to help combat the sanitary crisis across multiple parts of Africa and India. Costing $350, it's powered by worms, and doesn't require to be hooked up to a sewer system. Powered by worms. Basically skipping the pipe system and going straight to the biotreatment to break down the poop. Delta Airlines no longer allows snub-nosed dog breeds such as bulldogs, pugs, Shar-Pei, etc. because of the breed's breathing difficulties. The following breeds of dogs and cats have been identified by Delta as pug/snub-nosed breeds. Snub-nosed dogs and cats have condensed facial structures which impacts their ability to breathe normally. During air travel, these features impair their ability to cool themselves off when stressed or overheated, and it makes them vulnerable to heat stroke. In the best interest of the safety of the animal, we do not allow them as cargo on any Delta or Delta connection flight. Not allowed as cargo. What about in the cabin? Not addressed, I don't think. Cabin pressure is still lower than normal sea level pressure, but it's temp controlled, so I think they'll allow it. Not any worse than allowing old people on a plane. But I can see it going either way. Airlines really don't want dogs dying. Bad publicity. Bruce Springsteen once signed a kid's late note after the kid came to one of his concerts holding a sign saying he was going to be late to school tomorrow. The note read, "Dear Ms. Jackson, Sharby has been out very late rocking and rolling. Please excuse him if he is tardy." In 2012, a US programmer was caught hiring a Chinese programmer to do all his work for 1/5 of his high-paying salary. His workplace later discovered he was spending all day mostly just watching cat videos. The part the story doesn't mention is this was a job that involved a project for the US Department of Defense. That was the entire reason the company was auditing their network traffic. The DoD were very not happy. If true, that's a huge deal. Even if completely unclassified, communicating info about defense products outside the country is super illegal. Just having a phone conversation about the requirements could be an illegal export. Amy Carter, daughter of President Jimmy Carter, has been arrested 4 times, 3 times for protesting against apartheid and once for protesting against CIA recruitment in college. Carter attended majority black public schools in Washington during her 4 years in Washington, first Stevens Elementary School and then the Rose Hardy Middle School. 1. Mary Prince, an African-American woman wrongly convicted of murder, and later pardoned, was her nanny for most of the period from 1971 until Jimmy Carter's presidency ended. A Texas dad sold his business and built a $51 million amusement park for his disabled daughter with free admission for everyone with special needs. Morgan's Wonderland has had more than 1 million visitors since it opened, and 1/3 of its staff includes people with special needs. This is in San Antonio, and he also built a special needs-friendly water park. Gordon Hartman is a treasure. He was a guest speaker for a conference I attended. It was awesome that he commissioned the construction of special motorized wheelchairs that actually work while getting drenched in water. In 2007, the hijacking of a Mauritanian flight was thwarted. Over the PA, the pilot instructed the passengers that he was about to make a bumpy landing, and they should attack the hijacker while he was off balance. He said this in French, which the gunman did not speak. The ploy succeeded. The forewarned passengers and crew threw boiling water from a coffee maker on the man's face and chest, then beat him into submission. That's metal. An 18th-century American businessman published a book in which he ranted about politicians, the clergy, and his wife. It had no punctuation and had random capitalization. In the second edition, he added an extra page with 13 lines of punctuation marks, stating that readers could put them anywhere. Timothy Dexter, the world's luckiest idiot. He got rich selling coal to Newcastle, a coal capital of England. By the time the ships arrived, a strike had occurred and coal was actually in high demand. There is absolutely no reason for that plan to work out. That man was an idiot. And then he was a rich idiot. I'm furious. He was running the idiot savant perk. A fisherman in Florida hooked a swordfish so big that it dragged his boat for 20 miles and fought for 8 hours before he could pull it in. It turned out to be the biggest swordfish ever caught in Florida waters. It was trying to pull him out of Florida waters so that he wouldn't break the record. Now you have me curious if that could actually happen. Sorry sir, by the time you got the fish in the boat you were a mile into international waters, no record. I assume the location would be where it's first hooked, but how would you prove that?